A frustrating and inconsistent mess. Boring combat, frustrating controls, poorly designed levels, and a hackneyed story. You have to fumble through the awkward jacket inventory system, which is limited and does not pause the game when you access it. The DVD skip is only used to avoid unnecessarily frustrating set pieces. A shoddy third-person camera, a too slow first-person mode, and bizarre force switching between the two. The controls leave quite a bit to be desired. I think the best way to describe them is awkward. The paper-thin characterizations or mildly idiotic dialogue obscure the game's shine. An actual crate-stacking puzzle that involves in the heat of a battle, it's immensely frustrating to try to toggle to the items you want as enemies mercilessly wail upon. The cars in this game all feel like cheap cardboard boxes. The dialogue is embarrassing nonsense that make it sound like it was written by a 15-year-old emo child. So-called tank controls were acceptable some years ago, but the survival horror genre is involved enough to render this sort of gameplay obsolete. Alone in the Dark has one of the worst driving stages in a video game. We hit the New York streets a number of times and ran into stationary and sometimes invisible objects that put an end to our joyride. It's terrible. One part of the game packs more bugs and glitches than you can shake a QA tester at. It is one of the worst driving sequences in the history of action-adventure games. There are segments of Alone in the Dark that are so unintuitive and frustrating that you'll be lobbing your controller in exasperation. Only so many times you can watch a maze pass harmlessly through someone before you send your controller sailing through the television. This game can be compared to a puppy without potty training. You want to keep him so badly, but every time it seems to go right, it bites, scratches, and shits on your car. It's so laughably bad, this could be considered this generation's Rise of the Robots or Superman 60. The real mystery in Alone in the Dark isn't what happened in Central Park, but what happened inside of Atari's office.
It simply isn't fun, as a result leaves its audience in the dark.
I already feel in the dark about this game. After reading those reviews, after seeing those reviews, I was really looking forward to this game. I paid $50 for it on pre-order. When the reviews started rolling in, guess what? That was before I got the game. But after the game got shipped to me, I don't know about you, but I would be pissed about that. That I would have paid $50 or $60 for a game, and it got bad reviews before I even got the game. It means that I felt like I wasted my money before I even touched the game. But after playing this game, I don't really think it's that bad, and I'm going to explain to you why in this review. I think it's pretty good, actually. Now, one of the things that the reviewers talk about is the storyline. They say the storyline is crap. They say the storyline is uninspired, and that it's really not worth your time. Now, the storyline is pretty decent, actually, in some aspects. It does not quite close up all the loose ends, but it is very exciting in some of the sequences, and it builds up pretty well. It has a good build-up. It just lacks the good climax. But you can't really fault a game for that as long as it's fun, right? So let's talk about the controls. Now, the controls, I hear a lot of people say that they're clunky, they're tank-like. Now, I'm moving around like right now. I'm going to demonstrate turning. Works just fine. It doesn't turn like Resident Evil. In fact, you got a quick turn. Shooting controls work just fine. You use the right stick to aim, R to shoot, and it's got auto lock on. Jumping is pretty easy. You hit X. You can run or you can stand still. You get a little more distance with the running though, which you hold A to run. The melee is controlled by the right stick, which you flick it down and up or left and right or whatever, depending on how you want to swing it. You don't have to hold it. And obviously that's not fraud. I dodged the car easily. And I managed to jump over that no problem. So the controls aren't that bad. Let's talk about the inventory. Now I'm going to demonstrate the first way to manage that. Using the D-pad. Moving it around. You access the inventory by hitting down, and left and right will move the items around once you're in it. But you don't have to do it that way. You can use the right stick to point directly at the item you want to select. Makes things a little bit easier on you, especially if you're in a jam. Last thing I'm doing is I'm rolling the right stick in a quarter circle motion in order to select particular items. It's a little quicker than D-pad, not as quick as moving it in one motion. Now there's the favorites menu. All you gotta do is equip 2 different items, then you hit up on the D-pad and press any of those buttons and automatically assign it as a favorite. Now, why would you want to assign it as a favorite? Well, it allows for quick inventory access. Because these inventory controls are not clunky intuitive. They've offered many different ways to manage the inventory. If you just hit up, you can hit the button corresponding and select that particular combination. As I selected right there, if it's got a red flashing, that means you don't have that item, so it's only going to change the one hand that you do have. Now you can use the left and right bumpers both to switch your left and right hand items specifically. Each item is dictated by using a certain hand. Now use combine system. You select the item from the left and combine it with the item from the right in that order, for the most part. One exception would be the lighter would be selected second, or the gun is in the middle. You'd select the after the right side item. So I made a sticky tape bomb, and it works pretty well. Let's make another item. You can actually make more than one type of combination. So that means, what I mean by that basically is, just because I made the sticky tape on that doesn't mean it's over. See, I added a wick to that, and you can actually do more. If I had like a flare, for instance, and wanted to, for some reason, add a flare to it, I could do that. But let's just make this a Molotov. And it's probably not going to kill anything, but it's fun, I guess. Now, one last thing I want to show you. The combined item can also be used for the handgun by mixing the fuel with the handgun to make fire bullets, or you use the batteries on the flashlight to recharge them, of course. But with the handgun, it makes a nice fiery blast. Unrealistic, but it's a video game, folks. Alright, now we're going to talk about the driving. Here we go, got a car. Oh, no keys in there. Let's see if it's in here. Nope, let's take this first aid spray. Alright, let's check up here on the visor. Nope, still no key. Well, let's try to hotwire the car, which apparently is so hard to do and so bad. All you gotta do is flick the sticks as it says on the screen, and then you hit the right trigger on the green zone. There, we got the car started. Now I'm going to show you one of what's considered the worst parts of the game, this driving scene. This is pretty easy, but watch out for that fucking cop. He will knock you off. One complaint is driving during these cutscenes. That's the only time you ever have to do that in this whole entire driving scene. And how hard was that, folks? This looks pretty easy so far, right? Well, it gets harder, of course. And you gotta be careful. I mean, you gotta use common sense, knowing where to go. And, of course, you cannot overcompensate. The controls are pretty loose. But if you think about it, you're driving really fast. Everything around you is getting destroyed. And, I mean, it makes sense. If this was happening in real life, you would drive like a maniac like that too. Oh yeah, I always love it when the game has a good crash. Now, I'm going to show you the other bad driving scene. Just watch out for these pillars. They pop up at particular spots in the map. You know, you might have to retry a couple times, but no big deal. Take this little pathway here, and this will save you a lot of time. So take you right back to the main road. Here's another section that's pretty tough. All you gotta do is just squeeze in through here or that path, which I should have took the path actually, but that works, whatever. And then for this part, you gotta make sure to jump in between these two big fires. I don't know how that's fucking hard. If anybody can't make it past that part, then I guess you shouldn't be playing the game. First person driving is really crazy, but oh my fucking god, what the hell? You gotta know when to bail, too. That's the B button. Oh, shit. And you gotta know when to jet it, too. This fucker's ripped my car door off. So, when you're a pyromaniac like me and you like to spray your fuel around the ground, what do? Well, there's one more purpose of the car. You can use it to fill up your empty fuel bottles. Or they don't even have to be empty. I know it's kind of more of an inventory thing, but this is to do with cars. There you go. The handling takes some getting used to, but the driving really isn't that bad. There's driving physics, which I'll cover that a little more in a glitch, but I mean, they aren't that bad. It's pretty easy to get a hang of it. So let's go on to their topic.
Please rate and comment. Part 2 of this review is coming soon.